Welcome to Book Club The Yappening, a podcast where we discuss every and all things we've read and some of us haven't read, in a safe place where we can yap about life in general. In the description, you'll find links to our Fable, Instagram, and Discord accounts. Please follow for more yapping in different styles. For a warning, we will 100% be spoiling this book, so please pause, go read, and come back to yap.
All right. Well, today...
What do we got today, Brittney?
Today we're going to do Rebel Angels by Libba Bray, which is the sequel to Great and Terrible Beauty, and this bitch is long, so this is probably going to be a two-parter, almost certainly,
this
100%
is going to be a
two-parter. Great and Terrible Beauty was like 17 pages, and this is 31 pages, so, yeah, it's going to be a thing. Okay, trigger warnings. Addiction, drug use and abuse, SA, child abuse, self-harm, racism, and incest.
Why does that need to be there? Why? Sorry. I know. Yeah, okay.
Stuff happens.
Oh, God.
Okay, so quick.
That's not a legal argument. Stuff happens, you know?
It's not. I'm not excusing it. No, it's not appropriate.
Okay.
Just, I'm saying stuff happens in the book. Like, I don't mean like, you know, just a little.
Yeah, this is trigger warnings, not
Yeah, not like a
adult
celebration warnings. Okay,
text to block, not text to search for.
correct. Absolutely. Okay. So quick recap here. Last we saw our lovely ladies. Pippa had chosen to eat the berries and remain in the realms indefinitely. Felicity was having night terrors. She was seeing shadows out of the corner of her eye. An evil spirit had tried to bind itself to her in the realms, and that, I feel like fucking nothing comes of that, so it is what it is. And then Anne and Gemma are more or less just kind of vibing. Gemma had told Kartik that, to tell the Rakshana that there was no going back to the old ways. That's kind of the only, sort of note for that, but, okay. Picture it. England, December 1895. We open with our prologue. Instead of being Miss Gemma Doyle's POV, we are with Kartik's. I'm going to say that fucking weird every single time, I swear to God. Okay. He is writing a faithful and true account of his last 60 days and the strange visitation that has left him wary. Also, strange visitation. I don't think that we're going to find out what he's talking about there, but I digress. In order to start at the beginning, he takes us back to October. Just after the misfortune had occurred, our boy had received word from the Rakshana that he was needed in London.
Misfortune is what happened in the first book?
Yeah, misfortune being like Pippa more or less dying.
Okay.
So the Rakshana tells him to go to London. He takes his ass to London. One night while he's kind of traveling and sleeping out in the woods, because he didn't just like hop on a carriage or get a horse, like he's like traveling back roads, he's like through the woods, he's like starving, like it's cold, like he's going through it. But one night he has a dream of Gemma. She's leaning over him, in which he describes her golden red curls as a halo. Sounds like he's down bad, because he is. In this dream, Gemma tells him that his destiny is joined to hers, and then from there, Dream Gemma leans over to kiss him, but before she sticks the landing, he wakes up. When he arrives in... What?
Just...
Shame. Like, not for shame, but like, aw, shame.
Blue lips? Is that appropriate?
Oh, blue lips. Oh my God.
What a torture for our poor guy.
It's
right.
The cold. The cold's doing it.
He just wants a teenager to mac on him, and
I mean, he is a teenager. So he is a teenager. They're the same age. They're both teenagers. So that wasn't as creepy as it sounded.
Oh
Okay.
yeah, but
I don't even remember his
like they're
age.
16.
Okay.
Yeah.
all I know is that they're kids. And
Yeah.
leave the door open 3 inches, please.
But that
Literally last night we were in the office working and the door was like cracked so we could leave the hall light on so Butters could see the staircase, but also I had closed the door over because the light was in my eyes, and Fig just comes in and is like staring at us through the door and Nick's like, leave it cracked 3 inches.
That's hilarious.
Okay.
All right, Kartik almost gets kissed but doesn't. Wakes up. It was all a dream. Used to read Nickelodeon magazine.
Correct. Yes. Okay. So, he has arrived in London. He's been through it, as mentioned. He's not sure where to go, but he states that the Rakshana always find him. So he's just like, I'm just going to vibe until someone comes and gets me, essentially. Again, he was like starving. So he's like, that pie over there looks real good. I'm going to go ahead and steal it. But as he's like trying to suss out how to best steal this pie, a member of the Rakshana approaches him, tells him that he has much to account for, and then Kartik is like no longer conscious. So next thing he knows, he's waking up in a room. As he's coming to, he hears a man call his name. He is in front of the Rakshana leaders. They tell him that his mission is to watch the girl and report back. He had failed by not telling them immediately that Gemma had reopened the realms. Kartik tries to defend himself and defend Gemma, telling the Rakshana that she's not what they thought. They're really not having this, though. They more or less tell him that the girl is more dangerous than she can know. They lay into him some more, and then they tell him to kneel. Kartik, at this point, believes that he's about to be executed, but they ask him to re-pledge himself to the Rakshana. He must pledge that he bows to their will. Once he confirms, the Rakshana tells him that long before the order used the runes, they had a temple. They want Kartik to bind the power to the Eastern Star once the girl has found the temple. Effectively, the Eastern Star is the Rakshana, so they essentially want Kartik to trick her into believing that she's rebinding the magic to the order, but she's actually going to be giving the Rakshana all of the magic. Essentially, is like
that
what's
is
happening.
as shit.
Literally, yes. Okay, so
Hey, when does the anagram come up? Do I need paper?
Yeah, go get paper.
Okay.
Break for paper.
Break for paper. Please stand by.
Paper break.
Paper break. Okay, so Kartik, the Rakshana explained that Kartik is to get Gemma to do this by wooing her, and then tricking her into finding the temple and saying the incantation. Kartik doesn't, he literally says she can't be wooed. And they're like, all girls can be wooed. But like also, like, guy, she likes you. So like, really, you don't have to work that hard. So.
Are they actually saying like, trick her?
Yeah, they say woo her and then trick her and then kill her is what they, like, once she's bound the magic to the Rakshana, they have no use for her. And she has just inherently a lot of power herself, like outside of the runes and the temple. So they're like, afterwards, you're going to go ahead and kill her then.
Are we the baddies?
Literally, yes. But Kartik says she's not wooable, but maybe I can have her find the temple and then take me into the temple and then I can say the incantation. But they tell him that the order has made it so that no member of the Rakshana can enter the realms as punishment.
This is very much giving, like, we want the magic, but we can't have the magic, so we're going to pretend that we're defending to the world against the magic, but really we want it. We're waiting for it to come back out.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. I definitely make some, like, it feels like weird references. Like, I relate this to, like, factions in, like, a different work of literature. Not literature, but anyways, we'll get there. But I do make some connections between, like, this and another story that we have all consumed. Okay, so okay, yeah, kill him, blah blah blah. Okay, now we are back with our girls in Spence Academy for Ladies. Gemma lets us know that she's been having nightmares of Pippa. In these dreams, Pippa is begging Gemma to bring her back. Gemma also tells us that the woods around Spence are no longer being inhabited by the Romani. Like, the woods are not being shared with the school and the Romani. They've gone somewhere, like, warm for the winter, essentially. Kartik is also gone, so Gemma just thinks that he packed up and, like, went with them. But obviously we know that that's not the case. The girls gather up their coats and then they head out into the woods, saying that they're going to go visit Pippa. They make their way out into the woods. They're bantering about Christmas. We learn that everybody's about to be heading home for the holidays, but since Anne doesn't have a home, she's going to be staying behind with all the servants. The girls have created a shrine to Pippa in an old tree, so there's like a hollowed out portion of a tree, and then they have a rock pulled in front of it, but like they'll like leave things in there for like Pippa, like as if that's her like gravesite, essentially, because you know that's where they are, essentially. She's not buried at the school. So once they reach the tree, the girls leave gifts for Pippa. Anne asks if they think they will ever see Pippa again, and Gemma says she doesn't think so. Felicity then asks when they're going to go back to the realms. Gemma tells them that she's not able to enter the realms without other members of the order. This is a lie. She hasn't tried to enter the realms because she doesn't want to use her powers again until she has, like, an adult, essentially. Like, she wants to understand her powers better. Yeah, before she decides to use them again. So while Gemma is putting the stone back in front of their little shrine, she notices that there's a parchment inside, and she knows that none of them have left the parchment either today or like previously. So she pulls it out, and it is a note that says, "I need to see you immediately." She knows that it's from Kartik. Gemma is both excited to see him again, but also terrified as to why he wants to urgently see her. She is concerned that he's maybe going to take her to the Rakshana. So she decides she's not going to meet with him, even though she like misses him and she wants to see him. She's like, this could be danger, so I will not.
Better not.
Right, exactly. So later that night, Gemma has a nightmare of Pippa. Pippa warns Gemma that they are coming for her. This is going to be like a thing that happens that I definitely cut for time, but like just repeatedly throughout the story, like multiple people are just like, they're coming for you, be careful. So like that's like a whole thing that it happens, is they are coming for her.
Can I get more context? Who's coming for me? No, I gotta disappear.
Literally, yes. So
mystery box.
Yes. The next morning, the art teacher arrives, Miss McLeafy, and when I say that she arrives, I mean she's introduced to them. Gemma actually saw Miss McLeafy arriving the night before. Two things to note here. She had a case that she insisted she be the one to take to her room. So she shows up. Bridget's like, "Oh, let me take your things." And she's like, "Not this one, though." And then as she's going to her room and passes by the East Wing, she stops and puts her hand on the door. And then she goes to her room. So Gemma's like, well, this is a little strange, right? So when Mrs. Nightwing introduced...
Door.
Literally, yes. She loves a good door.
Oh
man, you get a good door that has like just the best squeak.
The wood that this came from speaks to me.
Literally. It's a very important tree.
Teak.
Teak.
Not teak. Okay. Anyway, so Mrs. Nightwing, breakfast, she's introducing Miss McLeafy to the girls. She states that Miss McLeafy and her are old friends. She goes on to tell the girls that Miss McLeafy is knowledgeable in Latin, Greek, and archery, as well as art. Felicity is very excited to hear that she's going to have archery lessons, because we know Homegirl loves a bow and arrow.
And she's a redhead, right?
Gemma's a redhead. Felicity has almost like white blonde hair.
Okay, because when Kartik had the dream, you said golden red,
yeah,
looking like a halo, and now she wants to practice archery, so I just keep thinking of Merida from Brave.
Yeah, Felicity is the archery queen and Gemma is the redhead, so...
Redhead has power.
But now Gemma is excited to learn archery, so...
No, Felicity's excited to learn archery.
I wasn't paying attention, clearly.
Also,
was it McLeafy?
McLeafy.
That sounds like such a made-up name. I'm just picturing, like, whoever I have pictured as Miss Moore with, like, a fake beard on. And then I was going to say that's Count Olaf in disguise.
I mean, probably, yeah.
Miss McLeafy, what a wonderful beard you have. Oh, I thank you.
You just, like, fucking clocking shit that, like, you shouldn't be clocking is really funny to me.
All I was thinking was McLeafy sounds like such a made-up name.
Maybe it's because it is. We'll find out. Stay tuned. Okay, so...
Is there an anagram involved?
Sure is. Okay.
God damn it. I saw my prediction from the first episode, too.
I know. Just write it down. We're gonna find out if you're right today. So anyways... Felicity's happy. Later that afternoon, the girls are outside enjoying the snow. It's Gemma's first time interacting with snow because she grew up in India. So she's absolutely having her best fucking life right now. She's like catching it in her mouth. She's like just really doing it up. Yes, literally.
Do we have the copyright for that? I don't think so.
Felicity shows Gemma the wonderful world of snowballs, so Gemma decides she's going to torture Anne by throwing snowballs at her. So while her and Anne are like whipping snow at each other, Gemma is yanked behind a tree. It's Kartik, of course. He's annoyed that she didn't respond to his note. He goes on to tell her that there is trouble in the realms. He tells her that because she had destroyed the runes, they were acting as a safe to contain the magic so that only the Order could access it. But now that the runes have been destroyed, the magic's just everywhere. So, like, anybody that is in the realms can have access to this magic, essentially. So, that is a big concern. So, genuinely, it is necessary for the magic to be bound to somebody at the temple, essentially, because bad people can come in and just kind of have this magic.
That's a real thing, or
no, that is a real thing.
Okay.
She genuinely needs to find the temple and bind the magic. The Rakshana want to trick her into only binding it to them. So that's kind of the like Sophie's choice of it all. Is like,
our boy better make the right decision at the end.
We'll find out.
Nope.
Oh God.
He's a teenage boy. He's not going to make the right decision.
You know what?
You fucking right.
I don't know.
Do what we tell you versus I'm a teenage girl who you have a crush on and I may or may not give you a kiss. I'm going with her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so he tells her that she needs to find the temple. He gives her the incantation. She asks what the incantation means, and he tells her that it's a binding spell that the Order created. He tells her that she is not to trust anyone or anything while she's searching for the temple, including her own visions. He's like, literally, they're out here in the streets. Don't be trusting nobody, basically. So he tells her that she needs to find the... Oh, we already did that. She then immediately has a vision of 3 girls about her age standing out in the snow. She sees them. They're kind of shimmery, so she knows that they're not real, and then they vanish.
And then they try to kiss her and she wakes up.
Yes. Later that night, Gemma tells Anne and Felicity about Kartik's warning. They decide that they will try to enter the realms as soon as possible so that they can begin searching for the temple. The following day, Miss McCleathy instructs the girls on archery. Also, you saying it's a fake name, it's spelled the dumbest it just looks, it looks wrong, just the way it's spelled. MCCLEETHY.
Oh my God.
Sorry, one more time.
MCCLEETHY. But you don't have the rest of her name, so you're not going to get what it's an anagram for.
No, but I want to get the rest of it because and now she's now DJ MC McCleathy.
Oh, there you go. I love that for you.
Shit. Okay.
I mean, that would be a better name, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
MC Cleathy on the ones and the twos.
Okay, so Gemma and McCleathy, they be button heads, basically. Gemma had made a comment to the other girls that Miss McCleathy is likely to be a hideous prig who's going to make the girls' lives misery. Of course, Miss McCleathy was within earshot when Gemma said that, so they're not having a good time with each other. Oh, no. During the archery lessons, to no one's surprise, Felicity is very much excelling at this. Gemma decides that she should be more like Felicity and just charge headfirst into anything, including archeries. So she has translated this to mean that she should just let arrows fly at willy-nilly and not question where they're going. So she shoots Miss McCleathy in the hand.
Shut up!
Yes. Someone asks if they should run for help, and Miss McCleathy sends the class off, saying that Gemma is going to stay and care for her as penance. Gemma bandages up Miss McCleathy's hand. Once the bandages are set, she asks Gemma to go to her room and pick up a pair of gloves for her, like a clean set of gloves.
I just looked up the word prig because that sounded vaguely slurish. It just means like a goody two shoes or smugly moralistic. And I'm not saying that because I am mansplaining a word to you. That is just a definition for today. That is the word that's going in the option area is a prig.
Honestly, I would have been really upset if it was a slur and I didn't realize it, and then I said it. So I guess thank you. It didn't occur to me that it was a slur, but
It's in the same vein as like Pratt.
yeah. Okay.
Chris Prig.
When in the room, Gemma notices that there's not anything personal in the room. It's just sort of standard items that are in an orderly fashion, but like nothing to show any sort of personality. When the girls had initially met Miss McLeathy, they noticed that she had an odd accent, and she told the girls that she's a citizen of the world. Gemma mentions that she's from so like she travels a lot, essentially. So Gemma mentions that she's originally from Bombay, to which McLeathy noted that she couldn't breathe when she had spent time in Bombay due to the heat. McLeathy then goes on to say that she was in Bombay to visit a friend.
Saying you're a citizen of the world just has the same... I mean, that is a very prig thing to say, but it also goes along with like, okay, no, but where's your home? Where do you live? I live in the moment.
I mean, and Kardec also has a little bit of that happening where at one point she asks if he misses India, and he's like, the Rakshana's my home, like I'm not allowed to be loyal to like anything else. And she's like, okay, but like you grew up there, and he's like, don't care. So like that's kind of like another thing that kind of is happening as like a side quest type thing.
I'm just saying the prig comment was not wrong.
Yeah. So now that Gemma's in McLeathy's room, she notes that she seems to have come from nowhere and belonged to no one. Gemma grabs a new set of gloves, but then she notices the case that Miss McLeathy had insisted on carrying herself. It's tucked under the bed. So Gemma, being our curious queen, decides to do some snooping. Inside the case, she finds an ad for the Golden Dawn bookstore in London, a ring in which she describes as odd. It is gold and blue enamel with two snakes intertwined around the band. And then there's a stationery set.
Snakes, always a good sign.
Yes. While she's looking at the stationery, a sheet of paper falls out, and the paper is a list of finishing schools or boarding schools. All of the schools have been crossed out except for Spence. The name that is just above Spence is the school that McLeathy said that she had transferred from essentially. So fast forward. That night, the girls go and they enter the realms, and they're greeted by Pippa. She runs up to them very excitedly, saying that she's so excited that they've come back. Gemma asks why she's still here, telling her that the last she saw her, she remembers Pippa crossing over with the knight. Pippa tells them that the knight told her that they could stay in the realms if she wanted to. He told her that there are many tribes and creatures that call the realms their home, so there's no reason that Pippa had to leave the realms. Anne quickly asks where the knight has gone, but Pippa says that he was dreadfully boring. He did anything she ever asked, so she's like, get lost. Felicity theorizes that Pippa hasn't crossed over yet because maybe her soul's purpose is to help them find the temple. They fill Pippa in on the temple, binding magics, etc. Pippa says she's down to do whatever it takes to find the temple, and that she'll begin asking around for help, essentially. So, like, while you guys are back doing normal people stuff, I'll, like, talk to people and see if I can get any, like, clues as to where we should go. Gemma pauses and tells Pippa that Kardec warned her not to trust anything in the realms. Here, she absolutely means the creatures and everything, but like she maybe shouldn't also trust Pippa because Pippa is now from the realms, and one would think that she's maybe learned her lesson at this point, but clearly not. So Pippa quickly tells Gemma that she needs to be careful around Kardec, stating that the Rakshana have their spies here too. Pippa tells the girls that this is well known in the realms. Gemma says that if that were true, her mother would have said something to her about, or like warned her about the Rakshana.
Her mother, the biggest mystery box.
Literally.
Teller.
Yeah.
The child murderer. Yeah.
Pippa.
My murderous mystery box mother would have told me things
shit.
instead of just vague warnings and
Literally.
hints towards future plot points.
Yeah, your mother didn't even tell you why not to use. She just told you not to use the runes, but maybe she had explained more.
Right. Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Probably.
Okay.
Anyways, so I know for me personally, like, if you're gonna give me a weird rule, you better explain why, otherwise I'm not following
I'm
it.
not doing it either.
Yeah. So anyways,
Autistic community rise up as long as there are rules.
as long as there are rules
And we know
that are
them.
clearly stated and outlined and explained.
Unless we don't like them,
And then who cares?
Yeah.
So basically Pippa says, your mom was a novice when she was part of the order. So like she wouldn't even know that anyways, because she was just starting out in the order when the order like ended essentially. So like why would she know like the deep histories when she just joined the club basically?
I know there was more to it, but your mother was a novice is just killer insult.
I know. It's sick burn. Gemma says that they should be careful of who they trust and what they believe. Felicity hushes Gemma, basically saying that she wants to hear all about the secrets of the realm, and that Pippa, basically she wants to hear what Pippa's been doing over the last 2 months. Like, what have you learned? Like, tell us about it. Pippa
Tell us about your ghost adventures.
Yes. Pippa goes on to tell the girls about a forest full of glowing trees, winged fairies, and a ship with the head of a gorgon. The gorgon is the figurehead of the ship, and she's sentient and alive. She had been...
Okay, our teacher is part of this gorgon shit. Got it. Okay.
I didn't even make that jump.
The ring had snakes on it, and then the gorgon's a snake, isn't it?
Yeah. Medusa.
Oh,
okay.
So that's just my... I could 100% be wrong, but I'm drawing this connection with the ring and...
I think I know I've heard Gorgon before, but my mind went to Small Soldiers. The Gorgonites.
Okay. No, Medusa was a gorgon.
Okay.
So, okay.
And we all know how that worked out.
Poor girl.
So anyways, the Gurgan.
The Gurgan.
Ermengarde, Gurgan. Okay, the Gorgon's been cursed by the Order to never rest and to always tell the truth. Gemma suggests that perhaps they can ask the Gorgon about the temple. If she's truly cursed to only tell the truth, it would make sense that she's the person that they try to get information out of. She also essentially served the Order, so like maybe she'll know a little bit more than like the average bear. Pippa quickly jumps in to say that she's really happy to ask for them next time she sees the Gorgon. So she's like, well, I'll look for her next time I see her. I'll like have her hang around and I'll ask some questions while you guys are gone. Pippa then very quickly changes the conversation. Gemma's having like a really bad gut feeling that something is up with Pippa. She keeps sort of thinking back to her mother telling her that if the spirits haven't crossed over, they will slowly become corrupted by the realms. But our girl Gemma, Queen of Denial, she's like, maybe that's not true. Because that's basically a theme of these books, is people tell her things and then she's like, I don't want to believe that.
But also she can't believe, so...
Right.
What is the truth?
Absolutely. So, Gemma tells Pippa about her dream. She asks if Pippa had sent her some type of warning or message. Pippa is surprised and was like, oh, that's a weird dream. I haven't tried sending anybody any messages at all. And then Pippa is like, let's make a Christmas tree.
Oh my God.
So they go make a Christmas tree. As they are leaving, Pippa asks if they'll come back tomorrow, but Felicity says that she's returning to London tomorrow. Gemma and Anne had better not come without her, essentially. Gemma's set to leave the day after Felicity. They tell Pippa that they won't be able to see her again for 2 weeks. Pippa is pouting. She says she can't bear to be alone that long again. Gemma and Felicity say that they'll visit each other in London and they'll come see Pippa. And Felicity basically says, like, okay, I'll just tell my mom I'm going to bring Anne home with me and we'll all come back. So they agree that they're going to come back in 2 days. Before they say goodbye, Gemma reminds Pippa to find the Gorgon and get some info. As the girls are exiting, they see a small toadstool where the runes were like just a toadstools, like a mushroom type thing. But I mean, as a mushroom girly, this is not like a cute mushroom. This is like meant to be like, this is about to be like concerning. And then the toadstool bursts open. The grass around it turns to ash and a snake slithers out. Anne quickly jumps back, but Pippa picks up a rock and just drops it on the snake. Gemma clocks that something is super fucking weird about Pippa because she's smiling down at the rock that she just used to kill the snake, and she, like, looks hungry. So Gemma's like, girl, what the fuck? So anyways, they return to Spence. The girls notice that they've brought magic back with them without having like touched anything. So like this is confirmation that the magic is just running loose because just being in the realms has allowed them to bring magic home. Gemma says we probably shouldn't use this just considering it didn't go super great last time, but also the magic is just kind of uncontrolled, so we don't know what could happen at this point. But Felicity just kind of says, well, I'm not going to do anything bad with it. So they just kind of let it fly, I guess.
We should not use this magic. Or we do.
What if I do? So anyways, Gemma's in bed. She's thinking back to Pippa, and this is pretty consistently going to be a thing throughout the book. I'm going to cut a lot of it out of it, but there's just going to be a lot of times where like just Pippa's being a little fucking creepy, but also Gemma's the only one that fucking notices. Okay. The next morning, Gemma sees Felicity and Anne off as they return to London. The girls note that by the next morning, the magic's already gone, so it didn't last very long. Anne is dressed up in Felicity's old clothes. The plan is to tell everyone in London that Anne is descended from Russian royalty and that she was trained in music by a famous Russian opera singer.
Why do they need to go that far?
Why? I don't know. No fucking clue. But as a side note, Anne genuinely is a really talented singer. She's kind of self-conscious about it because anytime someone asks her to sing at Spence, they're just kind of like, very nice. But they also keep asking her to sing. So like, just canonically, she is a really, really talented singer. So Felicity is like, you can kind of be the talk of the town and maybe we can shake something loose so you don't end up having to be like a servant. Like maybe you'll meet somebody and like we'll basically give you the spotlight and maybe something good will happen.
I get it.
They're also teenagers, and if you like need to come up with some kind of excuse, you're not just gonna go, oh, this is someone I met along the way. You're gonna go kind of extravagant,
right?
And they're young. They're clearly creative, imaginative types.
Yes.
Go big or go big and go home, I guess.
Especially for the 1800s, huh?
Literally. Okay, so within a few hours, Gemma's one of the only people left at the school. She's mostly just kind of wandering around. She all of a sudden hears, or she sees the East Wing doors are open. So she kind of creeps a little bit closer and she hears inside Mrs. Nightwing and Miss McCleathy. She can only make out a couple of odd words, but she essentially just stands there eavesdropping. And then the ladies exit and they literally walk straight into Gemma, who's just like kind of standing there. Miss McCleathy fully calls her out. Mrs. Nightwing asks what she overheard. Gemma says that she couldn't make out or anything. She just heard voices. So she like came over like, oh, the doors are open and someone's in there talking and I'm one of the only people here. Like, what's going on? She's like just acting like she was just concerned. But Miss McCleathy fully calls her a liar and is like, do you really expect us to believe that you didn't hear anything that we said? So Gemma essentially doubles down saying that it's true. She didn't mean to spy. She was just curious. She was going for a walk. She couldn't sleep, etc. When Gemma goes back to her room, she's just having like a teenage girl moment with herself in the mirror. She's like wondering if anyone could ever find her to be alluring. She then kind of fluffs up her hair and is like talking to herself. She is trying to practice being attractive. So like, that's what I mean by teenage girl moment. And she is thinking that with her red hair all wild, she kind of looks like a wood nymph. So she like plays into that fantasy a little bit. And talking to herself in the mirror, she says, "Who is it that roams my woods so freely? Speak your name." And then she hears from behind her, "It is I, Kartik."
Oh my god, how embarrassing.
Literally.
Oh my god.
So she jumps up, trips over the corner of her vanity, trips on the rug, falls over, taking the chair she was sitting down with her. So she's just like fully like, what the fuck just happened? And he was like, "Please don't scream. I didn't mean to scare you." But also she's like in her like pajamas, like she's not dressed, like she's just in like a nightgown.
The back of my knees, no.
Yeah, it's the 1800s.
Yeah, so she like kind of goes off on him, asking like why the fuck he's in her room.
I want to see those elbows.
Yes. He tells her that he came in because he needed to talk to her, but while he was waiting for her, he kind of fell asleep until she came in and started talking to herself. So he's like, "Do you want me to come back until like, and I'll go, you can get dressed, and then I can come back. And she, at this point, has put on a robe, and she's like, well, you're here, what the fuck do you want? So he asks if she's gone into the realms. She confirms that she has. Everything seems to be normal, which is clearly not true. But she tells him that everything seemed to be normal there. She tells him that they've asked someone to help them find the temple. He quickly tells her, I literally told you not to trust anybody. What the fuck do you mean? And she basically says, well, it's Pippa. Like, she's the one that's helping us, and surely we can trust Pippa. She's like one of our best friends. And he basically tells her that if Pippa hasn't crossed over, she's going to become corrupted. Gemma assures him that Pippa says that it's not true, and if Pippa says it's not true, it must be true, right? So
everyone's a liar here.
Literally. Well, just also everybody's a dumb teenager. So also, no offense, teenagers, but like, you'll understand when you're older.
You'll understand. I know. You're gonna hate that you're also going to say that when you reach our age, that you'll understand. It sucks, but it's true.
Yeah. So he only says that she might have already become corrupted. So she's like, well, Pippa says that she can stay and it'll be fine. And he's like, maybe she's already corrupted. Like, you should maybe consider that. He also seems to be the only one with half a brain cell, which kind of irritates me that the only male character is the only one with some level of sense. Because as a former teenager, I can confirm that even though I was like fucking feral and not right, I was way more put together than any of my male friends, like, honestly. So, anyways, Gemma tells him that there wasn't anything off about Pippa. She was the same old girl. But obviously we know that that's not true, and Gemma also knows that's not true. She's just in denial. So, let's see. Ooh, stop it. Okay. Gemma tells him that Pippa knows more about the realms than they do at this point. So they realistically, like, she's somebody that we feel like we can trust, and she has a lot of good info. So, I mean, we should at least get info, right? So, let's see. Oh, yeah, she's basically says that Pippa's already told her more helpful things than he has, and he's, like, kind of a little bit hurt by this, but he just says, okay.
How can he be hurt? He's literally planning on killing her.
Well, yeah. So, but he's just like, all right, I guess be careful. Like, I mean, you're not wrong if she has more information. She's been there longer, so that is probably true, but, like, also, I still stand by that she's not right. So... Anyways, he attempts to remind her that the Rakshana very specifically warned against trusting anybody. Again, it's just kind of like you shouldn't trust her, but I'm gonna. Gemma, let's see. Gemma then asks how the Rakshana should even know that the creatures of the realms are not trustworthy if they've never fucking been there. Like, if you can't go there, how do you know that, like, I can't trust anybody? Gemma says, considering that she knows nothing about the Brotherhood, how does she even know that she should be trusting them? Totally fair. He tells her that he has always been honest with her about what he knows, which is generally true. She'll, like, ask him shit, and he's like, I'm not going to tell you, and then he tells her anyway. So, like, he hasn't necessarily been dishonest. Obviously, his mission is to kill her, and that is objectively not cool. But
I don't think he's gonna do it. That's my prediction. I don't think he can do it.
He hasn't been dishonest with her. He's been as forthright as he generally can be, even when he doesn't want to be. So, like, you know, but also he's a youngin', and he's not fully up into the Rakshana type of thing. He's not, like, fully bought in. So, okay. Wait, hang on. He tells her that he's always been honest with her. She tells him that clearly he doesn't know very much. He says that he knows that his brother was in the Rakshana and he died to protect Gemma's mother. And that her mother died to protect her. So, like, I trust my brother. My brother trusted this, like, mission, and he died doing something good for you and your family. Like, give me a little bit of slack here type of thing. She essentially backs down and then says, like, okay, cool, but, like, can you tell me more about the Rakshana? Like, can you, like, give me something more to go off of? So he basically lore dumps. A lot of it we kind of already knew. He notes that the Rakshana rose in the east, which one would hope that she clocks, but she, in fact, does not clock it. And that the Order and them have existed together since the beginning, and that the Rakshana are sworn to protect the realms and its borders as well as the Order. He also tells her that the emblem of the Rakshana is a sword and skull. He tells her that he's been training to become a Rakshana since he was 6 years old. He left his family behind to begin training. He tells her that he is completing his last level of training, so he will essentially be able to learn all of the secrets once he's finished this final mission, which we know is not a good mission. She asks what his final task is, and he says that it's to help her find the temple. She tells him it sounds like their fates must be intertwined then, and he says, I mean, you're not wrong. So, he's staring at Gemma. Wait.
The skull is also a good sign that you're on the right side of history.
Right. So anyways, he's just like kind of standing there staring at him, and she's like, I mean, you should probably leave, right? So he climbs out the window, and as he's leaving, he says, I found employment in London, so I'll be in touch. Like, I know you're going home for the holidays, but like, I will be in London, so we'll chill, basically. So as she's like closing the window, someone knocks on her door, Miss McCleathy. She has allegedly brought Gemma, I mean, she did, it's not alleged, but she brought Gemma a warm glass of milk, basically telling her that it's warm milk will help you go to sleep and rest is so important. She then tells Gemma that she believes that they've gotten off on the wrong foot, and Gemma very quickly apologizes for shooting her, calling her a prig, and eavesdropping on her. And Miss McCleathy is like, it's forgotten. I want to start over. Like, we're butting heads, and I don't think that we need to be doing this. So like,
just drink this milk and all is forgiven.
Right.
Drink it. Drink it.
She also goes on to say that Nightwing and her were actually discussing how special Gemma is. That weird. Right. And then she reaches out and touches Gemma's necklace, saying, oh, this is an unusual necklace. Where did you get it? And then Gemma explains it was given to her by her mother. McCleathy asks if the symbol has any specific meaning, and Gemma says none that she's aware of. With that, Gemma just kind of fake yawns and tells Miss McCleathy that she's actually feeling tired and she should probably get to bed. And Miss McCleathy tells her, like, okay, go ahead and finish the milk so I can take the glass, though. So Gemma chugs the milk, noting that it tastes odd, and
okay, yep, she fucked.
Miss McCleathy goes, oh, I put peppermint in it. So she takes the glass.
Why does it taste like almonds?
Right. Literally. She tells Gemma that she's really happy that they've decided to be friends, and she wishes Gemma a good night. Gemma begins feeling really warm and heavy. She opens the window because at this point she is certain that Miss McCleathy has poisoned her. So she opens the window to like let the cold air in, and she's like trying to pace the room. Like she's like, there's something in there. She clearly wanted me to go to sleep. Let me try to stay awake. She fails. She goes to sleep. She has like really, really trippy dreams, and then she's like startled awake. And because she had chugged milk right before falling asleep, her mouth feels like disgusting and heinous. So she's like, let me go get some water. She is walking. She gets to the stairs. The lights shut off. Her knees begin to buckle, and she grips onto the banister harder, but then she hears the sound of something like chalk being dragged across a chalkboard. She then realizes that obviously she's not alone, like somebody is in the hall with her. The lights flicker back on, and Gemma sees the same three girls that she saw out in the snow. They're dressed in white, and they are slowly like floating towards her, and she can see that their mouths are moving, but she can't hear them saying anything. Gemma notices that they have like really dark circles under their eyes, and they look incredibly sad. The girls float closer and closer. Gemma is telling herself not to be afraid, but she is, so she like closes her eyes. She notices that the girls smell like seawater, and as they approach, a strong smell of decay is coming off of them. Gemma begins to hear that they're saying, help us. Gemma opens her eyes and looks up as one of the girls reaches out and touches her. The girl's hand feels like ice. Gemma's body then goes rigid, and she falls into a vision. She sees the three girls hopping along a cliffside. The seawater is splashing up the cliffs, leaving like sea foam on their feet. Clouds are rolling in. Clearly a storm's coming. Gemma then looks and sees a fourth girl who's like lagging way behind the others. And then Gemma notices a form rising from the sea. Terror arises, and the girls on the cliff begin to scream. Gemma is then back in the hall at Spence. The girls whisper she lies, and then they fade away. They tell Gemma not to trust her as they're fading away. And then Gemma basically hauls her ass back to bed and turns on all the lights because she's like really freaked out. The next day, Gemma's waiting for Tom at the train station. So she's like returned to London. She's at the train station and her brother's supposed to be picking her up. But then she sees a man in a black suit come up and sit on the bench next to her. She notices that he has a really long scar down the side of his face, but then she sees a skull and sword pin.
Was the brother ever mentioned?
Probably not a ton. I do think I mentioned him.
You mentioned him going off to boarding school.
Yes. So in the beginning, she was complaining that she couldn't go to boarding school because her brother was allowed to go. And then I may have mentioned that he was the one that dropped her off at Spence. So I might have said that she's riding in the carriage with her brother. But again, for time, I had cut a lot of like her family stuff out because it wasn't necessarily relevant in that story. But obviously, it's more relevant in this one.
Yeah, that makes sense. I just remember the dad kind of throwing himself into his work and didn't have time to like...
No, he threw himself into laudanum.
Oh my god!
Very different things.
Yes.
Yeah, he did do that.
And that is, again...
Is he alive still?
Yeah, that becomes like, again, more relevant in this one. So she notices that the guy has the sword and skull, so clearly he's part of the Rakshana. He looks at her and smiles, and she is not having it, so she gets up and like walks down the train platform, but then she sees that he has also gotten up and is walking behind her. So let's see. She, thinking very quickly, she sees a random dude, and she goes, "There you are," and like runs up to him. The guy is like, "Who the fuck are you?" Basically like super confused, but then she leans in and whispers like, "I think I'm being followed," and he's like, "Okay, cool." But he looks back and the scarred man's not there, so like now she just looks a little bit paranoid, but this guy is nice enough, so it's totally chill. She says that she's a little bit jumpy and that her brother's picking her up, but he's late. And he's like, "Okay, well, I can sit with you like while we're waiting. Like if you're feeling jumpy, like I'll hang out with you, it's fine." And she basically says, "No, like my brother will be here soon." And he goes, "Well, I actually need a woman's opinion on this purchase I just made." He bought a gift for somebody and he would like to see if her womanly opinion is that it was a good gift, essentially. So he pulls out a jewelry box and opens it. He shows Gemma a cameo. Gemma tells him that it's really beautiful and whoever the gift is for is sure to love it. He explains that it's for his mom and he's there to pick her up from the train station.
Oh, a what?
A cameo. It's like a pendant. Sometimes it's like a brooch, sometimes it's a pendant, but and I'm so certain you've seen it. It's usually like oval shaped and then it'll have like a stone in the background that's generally like a lighter color, and then it'll have in like ivory the profile of like a woman. So
it's like the Victorian thing. I didn't know it actually had a name.
Yeah, it's called a cameo.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm certain you've seen one at some point in some type of media.
Big. Yeah, it's just usually like pendant or
People don't
it's like a specific type. Yeah. I actually have a cameo for my grandmother, but instead of a woman, it's a butterfly. But generally speaking, okay, so
cameo.
And I said it, and I saw you tense, and I'm like, he's gonna ask what that was. Okay, so he introduces himself saying, like, "My name's Simon." And then as she's going to say, like, "Oh, I'm Gemma," Tom walks up, her brother. And Gemma is like, "Oh, Tom, Simon was kind enough to wait with me. Like, Simon, meet Tom." And Simon basically just goes, "Hey, good to see you again." And turns out they went to school together. Simon tells Tom that he had no idea that he had such a charming sister, and Tom says, "I didn't either." Gemma apologizes for having pestered Simon, and he says, "You didn't pester me." He also says, "You approaching me was the most exciting part of my day." Gemma thanks him for his time and bids him a good day. He grabs her hand and kisses the back of her hand and says he hopes to see her again over the holidays. He then invites her and her family to come have dinner with his family. At this point, I would like to point out that Simon is at least 19, if not older, and again, our Gemma is 16. So...
Not a big age gap, but a bad age gap.
I mean, bad enough.
Like, bad enough, but 1800s. It wasn't right, but...
I mean, I got beef with that man, so
Oh god, I mean, I already know I don't like it.
yeah, so let's see. They leave. Gemma is waiting in the carriage. Tom has gone into like a bakery to pick up a cake that their grandmother ordered. While Gemma's waiting, she sees Miss Moore walk past her on the street, so she jumps out and says hello. They banter a little bit. Miss Moore goes on to say that she hopes that Gemma will come visit her while she's in town, and that she hopes that she brings Anne and Felicity along. And then, fast forward, Felicity, Anne, and Gemma go to Miss Moore's like a day or so later. They're having tea. The girls fill Miss Moore in on Miss McLeathy. Anne and Felicity, who have both generally gotten along with Miss McLeathy at this point, are like poking fun at Gemma because she's like really paranoid about Miss McLeathy, and they're like, well, you don't like her and she doesn't like you, so that's why you're being weird. So they're like kind of like poking fun and like laughing at her, like, oh, Gemma thinks she poisoned her, ha ha ha, like type of thing.
Dude, this is a Harry Potter shit. It's like every dark arts teacher is just fucking evil. Not every art teacher is about to be fucking evil in this boarding school.
So
Gemma got poisoned.
Literally. And then they're like, oh, Gemma thinks that she's a witch. And then there's like some banter, and then Anne blurts out that maybe Miss McLeathy's Circe. And Miss Moore's like, wait, you've lost me. Take it back. Like, I don't know what's happening. So then they basically lore dump about the fire, Sarah, Circe, like they get her all up to speed. At this point, Gemma asks Miss Moore if she's able to tell them more about the order. Miss Moore tries to kind of sidestep that conversation, considering teaching them about the order is very directly what got her fired. So she's like, oh. She basically just kind of asks them why they're so interested in it. And Gemma just like keeps, well, you clearly know a lot. Can you tell us more?
You're so smart and wise. Share
right.
with us.
And then Gemma says, you know so much about it. Like, we were kind of thinking that maybe you remember. And Miss Moore just starts laughing. She thinks that this is like hilarious. She asks the girls why they're so interested. Felicity then tells Miss Moore it's because they were a group of powerful women who have a lot more power than women usually have, basically, because it's like Victoria. She's like, fucking go girl, let's go.
The 1800s.
Right. So Gemma again is like, but what if the realms are real? And she goes, okay, I'll play along, tell me about the realms. So she starts like asking questions, and the girls are answering them. The girls describe the realms. They don't outright say that they've been, but they're like very vivid detail explaining like the realms to her. She asks some more questions. They continue to lore dump stuff we already know. Miss Moore asks if it's possible for they mention the runes, and then she says, is it possible for the creatures of the realms to gain access to this magic, like type of thing? And then Anne says, well, they can now. The magic's free because the runes have been destroyed. They then go on to tell Miss Moore about the temple. Miss Moore asks if they know where the temple is. The girls tell her they haven't discovered it yet. At this point, the girls realize that it's getting time for them to leave. Miss Moore wishes them luck on finding the temple, and then she invites them to a gallery. So she's going to a gallery for a private tour, and she's like, it would be great if you guys came with me. They meet up with Felicity's mother over tea. Mother very excitedly tells Felicity that her father has decided to take in a young family member named Polly, who was recently orphaned. Also, just like as a recap, Felicity's dad is an admiral, so he's like a boat guy, like a very important boat guy. And then her mother fucked off to France, and it was like heavily implied that she was like
slutting it up
in these streets. So
menage a d.
Yeah, basically. So this is essentially the first time Felicity's seen her mother since her mother like went to France. But basically, word on the street is that her lover left her, and so she's come home essentially. Okay. So, her mom says, tells Felicity that her father is really happy to have a little princess in the house again, and Gemma clocks that Felicity goes pale. Like, she's like, and Gemma is assuming that Felicity is jealous that this little girl
I saw the trigger warnings.
Yeah. So
Oh no.
yeah, so
No, I think my brain just caught up.
yeah, so Gemma is like, Felicity's like jealous of a 6-year-old. That's fucking crazy.
No, I can't even.
Right, but spoilers, she's not in fact jealous of the 6-year-old. Fast forward.
Set up.
You're just like,
Oh, I shriveled
Story
down 'cause
time.
I'm like, take Felicity and run.
Okay, so the girls return to the realms to visit Pippa. When they arrive, Pippa very excitedly says, like, come to the river, the Gorgon's here. So they go down to the Gorgon.
Sorry, I just had a realization. This is why Felicity wants to be strong and independent.
And also,
Oh.
in the first book, they were having, like, a chat in the cave, and Felicity was, like, talking about, like, the type of man she would, like, want to marry. Like, because her family's super powerful, so, and she's attractive, so generally speaking, she could have her pick of, like, any important man. And the girls are like, you could marry a duke, or a meh, or a meh. And then someone goes, or an admiral, and she goes, no admirals. And so they just think it's like, oh, because her dad travels a lot, and it is in fact not, because her dad travels a lot. So Pippa's like, oh, the Gorgon's here, let's go. They ask the Gorgon if she's familiar with the temple. She says, all know of it, but none but the Order know where it is. The girls ask the Gorgon if she knows anyone who might be able to help them, and she tells them about the Forest of Lights, and that they should meet with Forest of Lights and meet with Fillion's tribe, as they were once allies of the Order. So the girls are like, cool, let's go. They board the Gorgon and they set sail for the forest. While sailing, Gemma gets really seasick, and Felicity says, oh, my dad always said that if you see where you're going, it'll help ease the seasickness. So Gemma climbs up to the bow of the boat, and she's essentially sitting, like, right next to the Gorgon. And the Gorgon asks, Gemma asks the Gorgon, if there are more like her, essentially, and she says that she's the last of her kind. All the other Gorgons were either killed or banished during the rebellion. From here, Gorgon lore dumps. Essentially, there was a time before the runes, and the magic was free in the realms. The creatures were able to come and go from our world, essentially. So, like, ghosts could go, and creatures could go and, like, snatch people up and, like, bring them back to the realms. So it was kind of like anarchy a little bit. And let's see, the creatures that had access to the power essentially wanted more and more and more. So a lot of unrest started to happen because people were trying to get more than their fair share, essentially. So during this time, tribes were battling. At this point, the Order began to rise to power, and so the Order began to become the more powerful group in the realms. So some creatures had decided that they were going to snatch up some young members of the Order and, like, go kill them, essentially, just because unrest, etc. They took them back to the Winterlands to kill them, but then they realized that because they had sacrificed some kids, that all of a sudden they gained more power, and they were like, oh, so if we do sacrifices, we get to have more power, so this is great, like, cool hack. So the Order, just being, like, obviously pissed that, like, their children were snatched up, they built the runes and sealed the borders between the realms. So if any creatures wanted to come and go, they had to ask permission first, and nobody had access to the power unless the Order said that they could. And spoilers, they really didn't say that anybody could. So
Would a fire inside of a boarding school count as a sacrifice of multiple people to gain power?
I mean, yeah, but you're assuming that multiple people died.
Only 2 died, allegedly.
Oh, only 2 died in the fire.
And one of them didn't act... No, actually, neither of them technically died in the fire, but...
Yeah, I don't remember what we've theorized and what we know.
Yeah. Well, we know, obviously, that Mary is Gemma's mom, and we know that Sarah has to be alive because Circe's alive, and Sarah is Circe. So that's more or less what we know. And that Circe has a dark spirit that's, like, attached to her because Eugenia Spence sacrificed herself in order for Mary and Sarah to, like, escape the realms.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, okay, so I guess I, like, fucking recapped the wrong things, but
No, you're good, because my brain was like, fire, multiple people had to die, but
Yeah.
that wasn't the case.
I mean, a lot happened in that first book. That was like an
know.
hour-long episode, and I can only imagine the recap for the third book.
Yeah. Okay, so runes. Okay, so when the order kind of sealed up everything, basically whoever was like on one side or the other stayed there. And there was a part in the first book where the girls had magic and they went back to the school and they realized that like there's like carvings of like little cherubs and shit like on the walls, and those were actually alive and they were like trapped. So stuff like that happened. Is like if when they sealed everything, if you were on that side, you were on that side, but because there's no magic, like technically like gargoyles, statues, like those could be actual things that
Oh, but they changed because they got locked.
yes.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, so
I should just wrote gargoyles into my book.
literally.
I love them.
And then okay, so Circe did the sacrifice to the spirits of the Winterlands. The spirits of the Winterlands slowly began to like start gaining more and more power, and because they were pulling power, the runes started weakening, which is how and why Gemma was allowed or able to smash them with a rock. Gemma goes on to ask the Gorgon if it's true that spirits must cross over to become, or they become corrupted. The Gorgon confirms that she's not aware of any spirits who haven't crossed over and have not been corrupted. Basically saying that like any spirit who hasn't crossed over has always gone to live in the Winterlands, and from there they become corrupted. So like I'm not aware that anybody has been different, essentially. So Gemma basically says, okay, but if things are different now because the magic's loose, does that mean that that might not be true anymore? And the Gorgon says it's possible. So again, this is going to keep being a thing. Gemma is going to keep seeing Pippa be a fucking freak and pretend like it's okay. Like, basically pretend
Denial.
like, literally, queen of denial. She's just like, okay, Pippa's being a little spooky, but like, I'm sure she's not being corrupted. It's fine. Like, 'cause things are different now. And like, I get it. Like, you don't want to think that something bad is going to happen to your friend and you thought you lost her and then you realize you didn't. So, like, I understand them wanting to cling to her, but it's like, babe, like, let that hoe go.
Pippa keeps doing this with her fingers, and I don't see anything wrong with that.
Well, there's a point where the knight just randomly appears, and he's, like, looking like a fucking weirdo. Pippa's knight.
Night with a K.
Yeah. Just randomly appears, and he's looking kind of weird, and she's being super bitchy. She's like, I didn't fucking summon you. And he's like, but I have a gift. And then he throws it at her, and it's like, it's the head of a goat. And Pippa's just like...
Oh, so they're an old married couple.
Literally, and Pippa's just like kind of licking her lips, staring at this like goat head, and Gemma's like, that's totally fine. So like just shit like that keeps happening.
Classic Pippa.
Like, oh, good old Pippa.
She loved them goat heads.
Big goat fan. Okay.
Oh my gosh.
Big goat energy.
Oh my god.
Okay, so they're sailing. There's some cliffs. There's huge carvings of goddesses in the side of the cliffs, and the goddesses are naked, and Anne is like horrified.
Not the naked body.
I know, right? So the Gorgon explains that these are the caves of size, which is so stupid for me to even say, and I don't understand how it could be plural caves. Anyways, so this is the caves of size. She tells
how is size?
like.
Okay. It was either or like size with a Z.
Oh, yeah, sorry, no Z.
Homonyms.
She tells the girls that the caves are essentially abandoned ruins, and that they're inhabited by the Hajin. The Hajin are known in the realms as the Untouchables. The Gorgon states that this group of people has always been considered untouchable, but the Order has banished them to the caves, and it is forbidden for anyone going to the caves.
Untouchable, unlookable.
Yes. It's implied that they have something weird going on, because they will, like, interact with the Hajin at some point, and she says, like, their, like, limbs are, like, as big as tree trunks, like, so they clearly have, like, something weird happening, like, with their, like, bodies, which is, I know, Untouchable, I would think, like, leper colony type of moment of, like, you look different. I'm assuming I could become different if you come near me, so stay the fuck over there type of thing. Let's see. Okay, so they've always been considered untouchable, but the Order had banished them to the caves, and it's forbidden from anyone going there. She then lore dumps a little bit more and says that prior to the Hajin being banished to the caves of size were where the Orders would take their lovers being the Rakshana. Now, if it seems super weird that the Order would banish a group that is generally hated and considered lesser than everyone else to the caves that seem to be kind of important to them, it's because it is weird. And there's a reason for that, which we will learn later. So, they reach the Forest of Lights. Before getting off the boat, the Gorgon tells them that they need to be on their guard and they can only tell their business to Filion. So, like, go find Filion, don't tell anybody, just tell them you need to see Filion and that's it. Like, he's the only person you should share, like, what you're looking for with.
How is Filion spelled?
Philon. It's Fion. It's Fion.
I was either trying to picture Nathan Fillion or the VTuber
No, it's Fion.
Fillion.
And, like, I didn't know that it was Fion, and I know that this was one of the names that, like, fucked me up as a kid. And then I listened to the audiobook, and I'm like, that's when I was like, this is great. I get to, like, hear how to say all these names that, like, I really struggled with. It's Fion, and I'm looking at the L, so I'm saying the L. But his name is Fion. Anyways, their name is Fion. Let's see. Okay.
Genderly ambiguous or just trying to keep things secret?
No, basically, Gemma describes them as not telling if they're a man or a woman, so, like, just very androgynous, but, like, obviously when we were teenagers, non-binary wasn't really a thing that we were aware of, so in my brain, this person has always been male, but, like, re-listening to it with, like, a broader view of the world, I'm like, oh, this is a non-binary character, but it's so heavily ingrained in my brain that, like, this character is male that, like, I'm unfortunately misgendering.
I think it's just when we were younger, if you're pronouncing the name as Filion, Phil, male, typical name, so that's where your brain's gonna always go, especially, you know.
But also, this is, like, the leader of a group, and just, you know
how we were raised.
The built-in misogyny.
Yeah, because we're, like, definitely come from the generation of where it was still weird for... It was still hard for women to be independent.
Right, and I, unfortunately, was spending a lot of time with people who were just fucking misogynistic, and so I was, you know, not like other girls. So, I was unfortunately one of those. Like, I didn't like girls being in rock bands. Like, can you even fucking imagine me being like that now? That's crazy.
Yeah.
So, yeah, unfortunately, I was kind of sort of red-pilled at 16. Okay, Gemma... Sorry. They get off the boat. Gorgon says, only talk to Fion. They get ashore. They hear hooves. A group of centaurs comes out of the forest. Gemma tells them that they need to speak to Fion. They are whisked away. Note here, I'm very much skipping over a lot of these interactions because, again, this shit is long. But the centaurs are not friendly. They're not, like, necessarily outright, like, hostile and, like, being mean. No, they are being mean. And they are hostile, but they're not, like, trying to attack or hurt them. They're just, like, shit-talking them, essentially. And they, like, clearly don't like them. They clearly don't want them to be here, but...
So when you say whisks them off...
Like, hop on.
We don't like you, but we'll give you a ride anyways.
Yeah.
It will get you out of our hair. Okay.
They're also, like, curious as to why they're there. Like, they know that, like, basically everybody in the realms is aware of Gemma. They, like, call her either... If... they have a good opinion of the Order, they call her Most High. If they have a bad opinion of the Order, they call her a sorceress. But, like, everybody is aware of who Gemma is. Even if they see her and they don't know who she is, they know there is a sorceress there. And generally speaking, when they're around Gemma, they can sense that there's extra amount of power, even if they don't physically know that it's her. But basically, everybody knows what's up. So... whisked away. Fion arrives. Basically, once they get back to, like, their base camp, like, they really start, like, fucking going in on, like, bitch, why are you here? Like, what the fuck? And so Fion comes out and they diffuse the situation. Stuff happens, cut it out, but the centaurs are angry with the Order. because they were essentially the messengers and, like, soldiers for the order back in the heyday, but then when the order capped off the power, they didn't share it with them, and they're like, we were always loyal to you, we have always helped you, we've always done what you've asked, and you can't even give us a little bit of the power. Like, that's kind of fucked up, right? Like, objectively, that's fucked up. So they're really not happy with the order, and they're happy that the magic is out. For the most part, they know that bad things could happen with the magic staying out, but generally speaking, they're like, but you binding it and shutting us out of it isn't what we want either. So he comes to defuse the situation. Bound magic. Basically, Gemma's argument to this is like, I either bind the magic or the Winterlands get it, and they're not going to fucking share it with you either, and they're not going to do very nice things to the realms if they have it. So, like, pick your poison. And generally speaking, they, like, agree that, like, okay, we don't like you, and we don't want you to do this, but, like, also, fuck the Winterlands kind of thing. So Fionn takes the girls off for a private chat. They tell the girls that they agree that the magic needs to be contained because it's too powerful for any one group to use it. Lore dump. Fionn says that they don't know where the temple is, but they explain that the centaurs have been using the magic since it was released, and they've been using it to create an arsenal because they know that war is coming. So they're using the magic to create all of these magical weapons because they know shit's gonna go down, and they're trying to be prepared for it. So Fionn is like, I don't know where the temple is, I can't help you find it, but you can have one of these weapons. Like, come look, pick one. Obviously, they choose a bow and arrow, because Felicity immediately is like, this is mine, and so Gemma's like, okay, I guess that's what we're picking. Okay, so anyways, in exchange for this one weapon, Fionn asks that they share the magic once they kind of get everything sealed up. They're like, you can have this one weapon, but it's not free. You need to promise to give us some magic when you do the seal. Bow and arrow. When Felicity selects the bow and arrow, Fionn makes a comment to her asking if she will have the courage to use it when it counts. Felicity clearly doesn't like this and straight up, like, fucking points the bow at him or them and is like, I'll fucking show you what's up. Like, basically, like, don't call me a bitch. And Gemma's like, please calm down. So anyways, Fionn escorts them out back to the edge of the forest. They ask Gemma if they have any allies, warning that many will try to keep her from the temple. Gemma tells them that they have the Gorgon, and Fionn tells Gemma that she needs to tread carefully with the Gorgon. Gemma tells Fionn that the Gorgon is bound to the order and that the Gorgon is going to stay loyal and only tells the truth, and Fionn says, bound by what? The magic's not reliable anymore. After having a harrowing run-in with water nymphs that will come back to be important later, the girls ask the Gorgon to take them back to the garden. The following day, Gemma is visited by the ghostly girls again. They ask Gemma to come with them as they have something that they need to show her. So by next day, I mean, like, they're back home, obviously. Gemma hears the sound of laughter and sees the girls, they're alive, and they're calling out to their friend Eleanor, telling Eleanor that it's time for them to receive the power. They run towards the cliff. The girls are hopping stone to stone. Gemma sees a woman in a green cloak approach the girls. She walks up to the edge of the cliff. She starts chanting, and then the creature comes out of the sea. The ghostly girls warn Gemma she lies and that Gemma shouldn't trust her. Gemma asks who they're talking about, and they just vanish. They don't tell her.
Go.
Right. So Gemma thinks back to the vision, and she's trying to recall details about this, like, woman in a green cloak, and then she realizes that the woman was wearing the ring that she found in Miss McCleathy's, like, box thing.
Snake ring.
Yeah. So, fast forward, Gemma and her family are at the Middletons. Things seem to be going well. Lady Middleton is notoriously, like, a fucking bitch. Like, she hates everybody, and she will intentionally ask pointed questions to, like, have a reason to hate you more type of thing. But, like, Gemma's nailing it. Like, she's doing the assignment really great. And so things are going well. people ask Tom how things are going, like, with his work. Or they ask him where he works. And he works at Bethlehem Psychiatric Hospital. And Bethlehem is a real psychiatric hospital. And it's where the term Bedlam comes from. It's kind of like a play on Bethlehem. So Bedlam generally means, like, chaos type of thing. And everybody calls the hospital Bedlam, kind of as like a, like, oh, that's where just chaos over there because all the, like, people are there. Okay, so he works at the psychiatric hospital, and then the people at the dinner party asks, got any cool fun stories about your patients? So Tom proceeds to go in detail about his more fascinating patients, including their first and last names, and what ward they're in, because fuck HIPAA, I guess. I'm sure that wasn't a thing then, but still, like, he's just, like, out here, like, telling people's business. He then mentions a Nell Hawkins. She's a girl that was diagnosed with mania while she was away at boarding school. Tom goes on to say that Miss Hawkins is rather unique. Nell claims to be part of the order, that she knows of the realms, and that someone named Cersei wants all the power. Tom goes on to say that Nell has driven herself mad to keep Cersei out of her head. But also, this feels like a plot hole later, because the girls will learn that, like, the creatures can, like, essentially have a window into the real world through people who just aren't all mentally there, whether or not that's, like, psychiatric needs or, like, substance issues, like, type of thing. So it doesn't necessarily make sense, but it seems like Nell is maybe just trying to constantly keep her mind incredibly, like, active, whether that's just, like, repeating phrases to herself. So it does seem like she has, in fact, like, driven herself to need to be in the psychiatric hospital, but in, like, a way where she's, like, constantly trying to have, like, mania, essentially, just to, like, keep her brain constantly active so that, like, nobody can come in.
It's just as a defense thing.
Yeah. So someone asks Tom, like, oh, that's interesting, like, how do you treat somebody like that? And he just says, well, she takes a lot of comfort from poetry. The nurses tend to read to her when they have time, and Gemma volunteers, like, I'll come read to Nell. Like, can I come tomorrow and I'll read her some poetry? And
everyone looks at her and goes, you can read as a woman?
No, but that was another yes. But that was another reason that, like, the, like, parent Middletons like her. They're like, oh, like, how sweet and charitable. You want to, like, come help the misfortune learn poetry. Oh my god. So after dinner, Simon whisks Gemma off to the library to show a picture of his grandfather. After commenting on the portrait, they then go stand near a window. While there, he begins grooming her. I mean, flirting. He notes that
that transition. My God.
He notes that she's not wearing her necklace. She's surprised that he even noticed that she had a necklace. And
this is Simon, right? Yeah, the 19-year-old.
Yeah. She's like, oh, I'm surprised that you took notice of, like, my jewelry. We weren't talking that long. And he goes, I noticed your neck. The necklace just happened to be there.
What the fuck?
He then goes on to tell that he can see that Gemma's not like other girls. He actually says that. Like, I can see you're not like other girls. He then...
Run.
Right. He then says that he can tell that she's adventurous, which isn't wrong, but as adults, we absolutely know what he means by adventurous. Like...
Run!
So at this point...
I don't think I actually do, unless I do.
Like...
Active.
Like, maybe you break
you
the
can't
rules.
see their eyebrows right now, but they're like lifting their eyebrows
Just,
like suggestively.
Anyways, so at this point he's like, oh, your flower is like she has a flower pin in her hair, and he's like, oh, like, your flower's coming loose. So he, like, reaches up.
Excuse you, sir.
Right. So he reaches up and he's, like, pinning her flower back in her hair, and then all of a sudden pebbles are being like thrown at the window that they're standing in front of. And at this point, I should probably mention to you that Kardic's job that he secured is their coachman. So like he's there, he's outside, he's like, he sees Simon like touching her and he just starts flinging rocks at the window to distract them and get them away from each other. And then as Gemma's leaving the Middletons, Kardik makes a comment while he's helping her into the carriage saying that it seemed like she had a really nice evening. But he like is clearly like just not happy. So the enemies be lovering. When they get back to the house, Gemma goes out to the stables to confront him for having an attitude with her. He tells Gemma that he didn't like how Simon was looking at her, stating he was looking at her like she was a piece of ripe fruit.
Oh, ew! But also, side note, I just wanted to say that like my first thought was that with Kartik being jealous was, I'm a killer, Bella. Where like I have to kill you, but I also love you.
I mean, yeah. So, and he's definitely not wrong that was the like spirit of how Simon was more than likely looking at her. But she basically says that he's wrong. But that she has info for him. She's like, shut the fuck up. But like, also, I've learned something. If you quit being a bitch, I'll tell you.
Never.
She's the biggest case of denial.
Right. She literally
never be me.
She literally says, I have something to tell you if you'll stop pouting long enough for me to tell you, like type of thing. She tells him about Nell. He tells her that she has to go see Nell right away. She says, I'm going tomorrow, actually. And before going back inside, she goes, was he really looking at me like fruit? And he says, yeah, you need to be on your guard with him. And of course,
you say that about everyone.
And of course, Gemma's 16. So she's like, he thinks I look delicious. And it's like, babe, that's not what you're supposed to be taking away from this.
Felicity.
Literally. Because he doesn't like her. He doesn't like Felicity for a reason. So the next day is take your sister to work day. Gemma meets with Nell. She seems catatonic at first, but then Gemma tells her that she believes Nell, and that she needs Nell's help to defeat Cersei. At this point, Nell looks at Gemma, telling Gemma that she knows who she is because they've been looking for her. Nell can hear them talking in her head. Gemma asks if Nell knows anything about the temple. At this point, Nell's eyes go wide and she tells Gemma to follow the path, stick to the path. Spoilers, Gemma is not, in fact, going to stick to the path.
Figured.
So Gemma asks what path. Basically, Nell rambles a lot. Like, she repeats, like, Jack and Jill go up the hill and, like, Little Miss Muffet. And, like, I think a lot of the Jack and Jill portion is relevant. But it seems like maybe she just repeats nursery rhymes to herself a lot as like part of her like keep my brain going constantly.
If they had earworm songs, they'd be singing
literally
some more current.
Like the I don't want money. I don't like money.
I don't need money. I don't even like it. I just want to throw it away.
That, God damn it. Okay, so
no copyright, but we're keeping it.
Also, Dropout's amazing. VIP is amazing. We love Vic. Okay, so stick to the path. Okay. Nell essentially doesn't really answer Gemma's follow-up question. She just like rips the amulet from her neck and flips it over and is like staring at it. And Gemma's like, what the fuck? And then Nell becomes really agitated. More things happen. Nell basically just keeps repeating the same things over and over and over again. Find the path, stick to the path, blah, blah, blah.
Don't need money. Don't even like it. Just want to throw it away.
And I am going to skip over a lot of what we learn here because Nell just keeps saying shit that doesn't make sense, but it will make sense later on. So we're just going to listen to it at that point. So the next day, Felicity, Anne, and Gemma are out on the town. Gemma fills the girls in on the lore she's received. There's also like a lot of like back and forth between Gemma and Felicity because like if Gemma doesn't tell Felicity exactly what she knows the second she knows it, Felicity's like, you're keeping secrets. And it's like, bitch, like you're just not with her constantly. Like just relax. So anyways, Gemma fills in the girls. But while they're out, they're like in a shop and they look across the street and the Golden Dawn bookstore is there. And they're like, oh shit, let's go look at some books. While they're in there, Miss McCleathy actually comes in because she had the ad because she had pre-ordered a book. So she comes in to pick up the book, and the girl, after she leaves, the girls go up and ask the shopkeeper, like, oh, what book did she pick up? And he's like, oh, it's a book on secret societies. And they go, did you happen to order more copies? And he's like, yeah, actually I do. And so they end up purchasing the book. And then they follow Miss McCleathy.
No HIPAA for bookstore owners, I guess.
Nope, absolutely not. They follow Miss McCleathy, who goes to Bethlehem. After the spy operation, the girls go back to Felicity's. They took a look through the book. The main takeaways here are that the Order uses a variety of symbols to identify themselves, including the ring that Miss McCleathy has. And they tend to use anagrams to create identities. At this point, the girls sit down and are like trying to do anagrams, like what their names come up with. They're making fun of each other. But Claire McCleathy's anagram is, they call me Circe. So the girls are now convinced that Miss McCleathy is obviously Circe. The girls go to the art exhibit with Miss Moore. They have a discussion about Lucifer. Miss Moore goes on to state that she doesn't think that true evil exists, that it's just choices. Like, which again, back to the theme of choices in the last book, like, I don't think anybody's fully bad. I think that people just make choices, and sometimes other people think that those are bad choices, type of thing. And part of this is because Felicity just makes a comment about Lucifer, like, kind of like, oh, poor Lucifer, just because he was, like, kicked out of heaven, like, the, like, lore behind Lucifer, and Felicity is like, oh, that's kind of sad, and she's like, I agree, I don't think that Lucifer is evil because choices. So, later, the girls tell Miss Moore about what they've learned about Miss McCleathy. Miss Moore later asks Gemma, like, you really don't trust her? And Gemma confirms, and she says, okay, I'm gonna look into Miss McCleathy for you. I'll see who she is. If you're so distrustful of her, I'm concerned for you, so let me do some recon. The ghost girlies are back. They tell Gemma the answers she needs are in her wardrobe. She searches it, and she's like, there ain't nothing here. The girls pull her into a vision. Basically the same thing over and over again, but the girls call Eleanor Nell, which is shocking to Gemma. What a revelation. But, like, I feel like we knew that the fourth girl being named Eleanor is probably Nell Hawkins. But if you didn't, now you do.
I didn't. Now I do.
And maybe it's just because The Haunting of Hill House is, like, such a thing for me. But, like, Nell and Eleanor are synonymous in my opinion. But again, I should actually do that book too. That one would be hard for me to do again. But it's one of my favorite books, so I probably will at some point. It was my dad's favorite book too. So Gemma checks the wardrobe again. So she, blah blah blah. Nell, Gemma's crazy, like, oh my god, crazy. Back to real world. She looks through the wardrobe again, and she pulls out her mom's journal. Inside the journal, she actually sees newspaper clippings. So the first newspaper clipping she sees is a trio of girls in Wales went out for a walk and never were heard from again. Wales the place. The article goes on to tell us that the girls were attending, the school that the girls were attending. They named the school the girls were attending. Sorry, I wrote that really confusingly. And that they were actually 4 girls, but 3 of them are missing. One of them has since is not, it needs psychiatric help. So it then goes on to compare that case with another case in Scotland. So basically what we're learning is that around Europe, girls are going missing at boarding schools. All of the schools that are mentioned in these newspaper articles are on Miss McCleathy's list. So this is where we're suspicious again. Gemma goes back to visit Nell. She tries to ask Nell what happened the day her friends went missing. Nell just is rambling nonsense. But then Nell begins calling Gemma Lady Hope. Again, warning her that I don't trust them, blah, blah, blah. They'll try to take you from the path. Don't trust them. She begins rambling some more. Gemma tries to ask what happened to Nell's friends, and Nell becomes really agitated when Gemma asks her this. and she just, let's see, incredibly agitated. She tells Gemma that they aren't her friends. Gemma insists that the girls are trying to help Nell. So basically she's like, what happened to your friends? And Nell gets mad and she's like, they're not my friends. And she's like, but they're trying to help you. And then Nell gets really upset and goes, what did you do? Basically, like, because Nell's like, if you're talking to them, you shouldn't be. Like, what the fuck? So Nell begins hushing Gemma, telling her that they're listening. So, like, Gemma's, like, trying to have a conversation about it. Like, what do you mean they're not your friends? And then she's like, shh, they're listening at the keyholes. So, like, they're going to hear you. You need to stop talking right now. It's not safe. A side note that I left out, there was okay, I already touched on this, but that the spirits and creatures can, like, see through people who aren't all there. And every single time Gemma is basically here, another patient will approach her and say something to her. Like, they're coming for you. Generally, it's like, they're coming for you type of thing. So it scrolled, sorry. Okay. Gemma rushes out of the hospital. Kardik, basically sees that she's really frantic and she's like, I need to talk to you alone. And he's like, okay, cool, let's go. He takes her off to, like, a little pub. The pub has Indian food, so he, like, brings her, like, Indian food, like, Indian comfort food, and that's when they have, like, oh, do you miss India, blah, blah, blah. And let's see, they're having noms, and then she tells him basically the lore that she's discovered with Nell, and the visions, and the snatching of the necklace, and she mimes how Nell was looking at the necklace, and she shows how she held it. And he goes, it kind of looks like you're holding a compass. And so they both are looking at the back of the necklace like, oh shit, is this a compass? And then Gemma goes, maybe it only works in the realms. And he's just like, atta girl. Like, he's very excited. He's like, oh, you're smart. Nice. So.
Is she though? She keeps trusting the wrong people.
She wants to see the good in people, right? So, like,
that's fair. She's
generally
young.
speaking, you know, it is what it is. So on their way back out to the carriage, they run into the scarred man again. He gets in Gemma's face. Basically, like, why are you wandering around London when you should be looking for the temple type of thing? And then before he leaves, he looks at Kardik and goes, don't forget your mission type of thing. And then Gemma's like, what was that about? And he's like, oh, my mission is to help you find the temple. Like, duh, I already told you this. And she's like, okay, but that seemed really fucking weird. So, later that evening, back at home, Gemma receives a love bomb, gift. Simon has sent her a necklace.
Again, subtle.
Yes. So, while being a creep to the teen in the library, which is the worst version of Clue, he asked Gemma what her favorite color was. She said purple. He has sent her an amethyst necklace with a note that says, gems for our Gemma. Next day, Gemma and her family attend.
Do better.
Right. They attend the opera. Their guest says the Middletons, they're going to be, like, up in this fancy private box because the Middletons, the Daddy Middleton is, like, a Viscount, which is, like, super important. I don't, Bridgerton type of thing.
Middleton Felicity? Felicity?
No, Simon Middleton. Felicity is Worthington, and I don't know that I ever mentioned that. So there was, like, some parts where I said the Worthingtons, and I'm like, I don't know that you guys are going to know what I'm talking about, but now you do.
I vaguely remember Middletons, and I thought that was, like, the...
No, that's Simon's family.
Okay.
Oh, and this is the Creep's family.
Yes. So they're at the opera, private box, blah, blah, blah. Felicity and Anne are also there. They're with Felicity's mother. Gemma, again, fills in the girls on the necklace, maybe a compass. Felicity insists that they sneak away at some point during the opera and go to the realms. And she's just like, we can't go here. And she's just like, meh, you just don't want Simon to know that you're weird. So, anyways, they fight. Felicity beats Gemma in a submission because, of course, she does. Felicity then asks Gemma, has Simon kissed you yet? Or has he tried to kiss you yet? And Gemma basically says, no, he's a perfect gentleman. What do you mean? Felicity tells Gemma that she should be careful around Simon because he has a reputation. The girls sneak into an unused opera box. They go into the realms. Gemma holds the amulet and begins, like, spinning in a circle, and all of a sudden the amulet lights up. Jem and Co follow the path. They come up to a rock wall. The amulet is still glowing, and then Gemma notices that there's a door in the side of the rock wall. So they're able to open it. They get inside, and then they realize that they're in the Cave of Sighs. One of the Hajin approaches them. She welcomes them. She introduces herself as Asha and asks the girls to come with her. Asha leads them through the cave. Gemma asks if Asha knows where the temple is, and Asha asks what Gemma has to offer. Like, she's basically like, what is your offering that you've brought? And Gemma is like, I'm sorry, I didn't realize I needed to bring anything. Like, I don't have anything with you I can give you. And she looks like, Asha just generally looks disappointed. Spoilers, the offering is not like a physical object. So that's kind of why Asha's like, oh, you don't get it yet. Okay.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
I have a poem that I vaguely remember from the hospital.
There's going to be more to the poem.
I figured that's a gift of some sort that doesn't need to be physical.
Perhaps. There is a poem later that actually lays it all out. Like, even like what she needs to give to the Hajin. So sometimes Asha says to Gemma, sometimes we seek that which we are not yet ready to find. The true path is a difficult one. To see it, you must be willing to shed the skin like a snake. You must be willing to let go of what is precious to you, like that which is precious to you. But when Asha says this, she looks at Pippa. Pippa suggests, like, I think we should maybe leave. And Gemma thanks Asha for her assistance. But before they go, Asha tells Gemma, I can put you on the path, but you're going to need our help. So a woman approaches them with a clay pot of paint. Asha explains that the paint will offer the girls protection from whatever comes looking for them in the realms. She then explains it hides what needs to be hidden and reveals what needs to be seen. And again, she looks at Pippa. The girls are like kind of freaked out because like they are very much like, these are the untouchables. They look really weird. Like, are they sick type of thing? Like, I don't know that I want you to paint me. We shouldn't be trusting people. But Gemma just sticks her hands out for them to paint her. Asha then compliments Gemma, saying that she can see that Gemma's very brave. Gemma, once she's painted, she falls asleep, has a vision. She's standing before a large well. The surface is moving and showing different images, cut for time, but we'll learn later. Gemma notices something moving in the shadows while she's having this vision, and then as it comes closer, she sees that it's a face. At this point, she wakes up. Asha asks what she saw, and Gemma lies and says that she didn't see anything. Asha, again, looks disappointed. She's like, okay, well, here's the exit, bye, type of thing. The girls leave, but when they leave, it's night. Like, they're just like, how long were we in there? But also, point of note, they've never been in the realms when it isn't like just like beautiful sunset, like just perpetually beautiful sunset. And now that they've left the caves, it's like, it's nighttime, and they're like, oh, this is weird. So, okay, sorry, I skipped a point. Okay, so they're following the amulet again. It's lit up. They're walking. But then all of a sudden they begin to smell rot. They then hear horses very quickly approaching them, and the girls are trying to decide where they can possibly hide. Pippa then begins turning around and going, where did you go? Because, like, the girls are like, we need to hide. And then all of a sudden Pippa's like, wait, where the fuck are you guys? And they realize that the paint has hidden Gemma, Felicity, and Anne, but Pippa is still out in the open. The other girls kind of step off to the side so that they're not in the path that the horses are coming down. The riders approach. They're like skeletal wraiths, like fucking skin just hanging off, like really nasty stuff. There's also a big creature flying with them. The creature sniffs the air and it's clearly looking for the girls. This creature will be referenced as the tracker, but it's just like this big, ugly, blind, winged thing. The riders ask Pippa if she's seen the girls. Pippa denies. The rider leans in close to her and says, you wouldn't lie to me, would you? The girl was too stunned to speak. He very quickly says it doesn't matter if she's lying because Circe's going to find the sorceress soon anyways. He then gets very close to Pippa's face, like almost touching her face, like in her face. And he asks if she wants to ride with them, telling her that she will be a pretty pet and she can have whatever she wants. Gemma,
with an offer like that,
right? I know, super great. Also, you smell like rot. Get the fuck out of my face.
Sweet talking wraiths over here.
Yeah, and Gemma's like, what the fuck is happening? I hate this. So she picks up a rock and like flings it, and then basically they're like, and then he's like, there's magic afoot. I know it. And then they just kind of leave. So the writers are gone. Pippa still can't see the girls. She asks why the paint didn't work on her, and Gemma thinks to herself that Pippa didn't need protection. And then she's like, is it because she's becoming corrupted? Like, is that why she didn't need protection? Like, clearly 1 + 1 = 2. Like, you didn't need the protection, so it didn't work. But also, like, why did it not work? Like, why didn't you need to be protected? They get back to the garden. Pippa asks Gemma what will happen once they find the temple and bind the magic. She asks if she's going to have to leave at that point. And Felicity very quickly jumps in and says, of course not. We'll use the magic to change things and you can stay with us. Gemma gently tries to say that she doesn't know if that's how it's going to work out, because she's, like, is aware enough to know, like, I don't necessarily have control over the situation. I'll do whatever I can, but, like, we really shouldn't promise that we're going to change things for her, because we don't know that we'll even have the capability to do that.
Don't overpromise.
Right. So she pulls Felicity aside and goes, you can't promise her things like that. And Felicity just says, I'm not losing her twice. And then she goes, she holds Pippa. They're, like, dancing. Side note, at some point earlier, Gemma had sent a letter to Nell's school, there was, like, a specific reason. But anyway, so she wrote a note to the school, sent it off, also asked about Miss McLeethy while being like, oh, I visited Nell, blah, blah, blah. So Gemma has received the letter back. The head mistress confirms that McLeethy taught at the school while Nell attended there, but that Miss McLeethy left to go teach at a school where her sister was head mistress. Gemma, so at this point they are like, oh, Miss McLeethy and Mrs. Nightwing are sisters, and that means we can't trust Mrs. Nightwing either, or Nightwing. Gemma receives a letter from Miss Moore. She tells Gemma that she's beginning to grow concerned with all these coincidences around Miss McLeethy. Jem and Co. will be attending a ball at Bethlehem because the psychiatric hospital throws an annual ball for, like, the patients, which, I mean, I guess is nice, but it's just strange. It feels kind of like a petting zoo situation because
That's my thought.
it's a ball for the patients, but, like, other people, like, people outside of are invited, and it's kind of like a curiosity type thing.
Yeah.
So anyways, okay. Gemma receives a letter from Miss Moore. Gemma is beginning to grow concerned. Blah, blah, blah. The note really doesn't matter, but there's a reason I'm telling you the note. She signs the letter Hesta Asa Moore, and that's for you. Go ahead, start writing.
I mean, I'm already halfway there.
Asa is spelled kind of like Asa Akira, A-S-A. And then Moore, 2 O's, R-E, and then Hester, H-E-S-T-E-R. That's for you. Hold your comments until I tell you to.
Spell more again.
Moore, M-O-O-R-E.
A-S-A-H-E-S-T-E-R-M-O-O-R-E.
Yes. Nick loves an anagram. He is going to hold his answer until the end of class. So, now that they're at the ball, Gemma approaches Nell. She notes that Nell is very animated, almost like she's a completely different girl. Like, she's just not, like, agitated, but she's, like, super, like, you know, like, hyper. And so, Nell begins to tell Gemma something that sounds like a poem. And, like, as Nell's doing, like, telling Gemma all this, people stop and they're kind of, like, gathering, and, like, the patients are, like, watching her, and she gets, like, even more animated, and then the patients start, like, getting animated, and then they're like, this, what's happening? The, like, staff is like, this is not okay. So anyways, I'm gonna tell you guys the poem. Nick, if you want to pause so you can hear the poem in case you want to pick up any clues. Okay. Nell says to Gemma, "Where shall we go, maidens? You must leave the garden, leave it behind with a sad farewell. Down the river on the Gorgon's Grace, past the clutches of the slippery, nippery nymphs, through the golden mist of magic, meet the folk of the fair forest of lights. The arrows you must use wisely and well. But save one for me, for I shall need it. Offer hope to the untouchables, for they must have hope. Travel on, far beyond the lotus blossoms, Follow the path, stick to the path, for they can lead you astray with false promises. Beware the poppy warriors. The poppy warriors will steal your strength. They'll gobble you up. Do not leave the path, for it is hard to find once you've lost it. They will take the song to the rock. Do not let the song die. You must be careful with beauty. Beauty must pass. There are dark shadows of spirits just beyond the borderlands, where the lone tree stands and the sky turns to blood. In the winterlands they plot and plan with Circe. They will not rest till the army is raised and the realms are theirs. Go where no one will, where it is forbidden, offer hope. Go where the dark hides a mirror of water. Face your fear, bind the magic fast to you. And with that, Nell is dragged off by a nurse, because, as mentioned, she's causing a bit of a scene. And when she said the poppy warriors will gobble up your strength, she does like, and then like all the other patients are like, gobble, gobble, gobble. And like, so it's just like kind of like, what the fuck? And so they're very much like, girl, get out of here. So a nurse drags her. As she's being dragged away, she shouts, "She means to use me to find it, Lady Hope. She will use us both, and I will be lost forever. Don't let her take me. Don't hesitate. Set me free, Lady Hope." And then I think maybe this is probably a good place to kind of cut, because drama. This is obviously very long, and so it'll be 2 parts. So we will catch you on the next part, which we are about to film. So we will be wearing the same clothes, but hope you guys are liking it.
He's working.
I know, he's like, I can't do an outro.
Yeah. I can't do my outro, so I will do it for Nick.
Yeah.
Nick here. Yap out.
Daddy. Yeah. Yap on yappers. Keep on yapping.
We keep on yapping. And also, what, continuation? Yaptenuation?
Yap. To be yaptenued.
to be yaptenued.
Rock out with your yap out.
Oh. Bye.
Bye.